Ready for some thrilling earnings forecasts for Tesla's first quarter? Tesla produced almost 440,000 vehicles and delivered nearly 423,000 vehicles in the first quarter of 2024, exceeding estimates. Still, it remains to be seen if their first quarter results would exceed predictions. We'll make that exact prediction in this video. We'll examine Tesla's stock price prediction chart, project their earnings, net income, and revenue, and we'll even talk about the implications for the company's stock price. So grab a seat, press the like button, and let's get going. In the first quarter of 2023, Tesla delivered about 423,000 vehicles, exceeding estimates. Even though there are 10,000 less cars than anticipated, this is still a remarkable accomplishment. Furthermore, the number of automobiles produced has exceeded 440,000, albeit by just 1,000 from the previous quarter. The two-week shutdown of the Model 3 is the cause of this difference. Output levels would have been almost 470,000, an incredible achievement. The question now is whether Tesla will report first quarter earnings that beat estimates, which we'll forecast in this video. This is the quarterly forecast chart for the price of Tesla shares. Vehicle deliveries are displayed in the first row, while FSD is the only category in the second row. FSD receives a one-time payment of $15,000 per quarter. Depending on availability and demand, they will probably raise it to $17,000 by the end of this year. I estimated a 15% conversion rate, which means that 15% of Tesla purchasers will choose to pay the FSD once. The average selling price of each car is $50,000 in Q1, $49,000 in Q2, $50,000 again in Q3, and $51,000 in Q4 when the Cybertruck, which will cost up to $55,000 per vehicle, is included. The FSD profit margin is 4 to 5% for all quarters. The credits are projected to be $400 million in Q1, $350 million in Q2, $300 million in Q3, and $250 million in Q4. Profits and operating margins per vehicle are also taken into account. Energy is another thing I've included here because it's starting to play a role in stock price. In 2022, it will generate about $4 billion in sales and nearly $300 million in profits. My prediction is that they will generate approximately $1.5 billion in sales in Q1, and that number will rise by $200 million per quarter until it reaches $2.2 billion by the end of Q4. Over the course of the 4 quarters, the projected profits are 12%. The FX currency expenses are $350 million, $350 million, $375 million, and $375 million, I should also mention. The cost of converting yuan to US dollars is high, which will increase this quarter's expenses. We will have a complete fiscal year if we combine this with the previous 3 quarters. By using a suitable PE, we can determine the correct stock price for the following quarters. The share standing is being diluted by 1% annually, 4% annually, and 1% quarterly, which should be mentioned. Now let's project Q1 earnings and revenue. To estimate revenue, we can add the 423,000 vehicle deliveries to Q1. Press the like button when you're ready. With a 14% operating margin, automotive revenue exceeds $21 billion in total. Tesla's Q1 2023 revenue is over $24 billion if we include their earnings and energy income in addition to FSD revenue. We can remember that the net income is $3.6 billion, or earnings per share. The Street predicts an EPS of 85 cents, while the quarterly EPS will be $1.13. It's not even 85 cents if we lower the operating margin to 10%, so I don't know where they're getting that money from. As a result, I estimated it at 14%, and since they recently announced more cuts, I estimated it at 13.5% for Q2. It's encouraging that the profit margin will remain more than 9.7% in spite of the price reductions. Tesla is still doing incredibly well, even in this peculiar recessionary economy. It's time to start planning for the upcoming quarter as we close out the current one. My estimates for the second quarter are somewhat cautious. Based on my estimation, Tesla is expected to produce 444,000 vehicles at a margin of 13%, generating about $25 billion in sales. Nevertheless, the net income will be less than $3.6 billion due to the lower operating margins. This translates to an earnings per share (EPS) of $1.12 for the quarter and $4.40 for the previous 3 quarters. I'm projecting that Tesla will deliver 465,000 units in Q3. Even if I believe they might approach 480,000, I'm still being rather conservative. With a net income of slightly over $3.8 billion, this will generate over $26.5 billion in sales. The quarterly EPS is expected to be 17 cents. Let's now discuss the implications for the price of Tesla's stock. The stock is currently trading between $180 and $190 per share, but given the recent price reductions and market fear, it could drop even lower. On the other hand, if Q1's PE ratio is 50, the stock price might be $201 per share. In the event that they underperform on EPS estimates and the PE falls to 45 or even 40, the stock price may reach $161 or $121 a share. The price of the company could plummet as low as $101 per share if the market turns bearish and the PE falls to 30. Though it's unlikely to move much higher in the current market climate, the PE might rise back up to 55 or even 60 if Tesla surprises the stock market with an EPS of $1.13. All things considered, I will continue to adhere to the cautious estimate of a 50 PE ratio. We can observe that Tesla's stock price is marginally lower in Q2 than it was in Q1, which may portend bad news in the works. It appears that Tesla failed to outperform its Q1 profits, and investors are now fearing that the price would go as low as $45 or $40. Nevertheless, the PE ratios show that it was roughly $161 in Q1 and improved to $176 in Q2. This improvement implies that the business has excellent fundamentals and that the stock will probably continue to rise. For Q2, I want to maintain the PE at a base of 50, resulting in an average stock price of $226 per share. Going on to Q3, I think the stock price will keep rising, and I'll assign it a PE of 50, which ought to translate into an average share price of $226. On the other hand, if you're feeling positive, a PE of 60 and a $271 stock price are possible. If you're pessimistic, on the other hand, you should anticipate a PE of 40 or even 45, which would translate into a stock price of about $180 per share. I predict a bull market when Q4 profits are released between January 21, 2024 and April 20, 2024. It is anticipated that the stock price would rise to a PE of 60 or $277 per share. I'll give it a PE of 50 just to be safe, which will mean an average stock price of $231 per share. I think these are reasonable pricing ranges for the end of 2023, even though they are not guarantees. To diversify my investments, I personally plan to purchase additional shares if the stock price falls below $200, but I will cease purchasing completely if it rises beyond $300. I think it's important to diversify your investments, and since I'm saving for a house, I can't put all of my eggs in one basket. I think this current decline in Tesla stock prices represents a good time to invest. While I am unable to forecast the near future, I think Tesla's stock will continue to climb in the long run. I might look back in 5 or 10 years and wonder why I didn't acquire more shares while the stock was still below $1 trillion. Naturally, this is just my viewpoint, and I might be off. The stock may not rise at all, or it may fall even farther. But I believe in Elon Musk and the Tesla Group. Their goal is to expedite the global shift towards sustainable energy, and they are committed to seeing this through to completion. To take things a step further, they intend to construct a gigafactory for the new small automobile in Mexico. They will next construct comparable plants in other regions of the world, eventually exceeding Toyota in the number of vehicles delivered globally. Naturally, purchasing a Tesla may not be the ideal option if you need the money within the next year or two. The stock is erratic, prone to swings similar to an elephant's trunk. Doing things on your own is crucial. Do your homework and heed no advice when it comes to investing. This closes the video, and a large like would be very appreciated. Just by becoming a subscriber to my channel, you can help us out as well. I appreciate everything, and I'll see you in the upcoming video.